So the world is reeling from unprecedented high temperatures. Tourists are in fact fleeing the raging wildfires in Greece, and now the United Nations Secretary General António Guterres has issued a stark warning on the prevailing climate conditions. Listen in.
The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable, the heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable.
The worrying comments have come in the backdrop of nations across the globe scrambling to battle heat waves and numerous wildfires. In the United States, an intensifying heat wave has in fact prompted warnings to around 180 million Americans, as temperatures are forecast to rise as high as 38 degrees Celsius. Now, commenting on the recent events, the American President Joe Biden has called climate change an existential threat.
Well, right this minute, as both the mayors can tell you, are facing a real crisis in their cities. We talk about steps we're taking to help people get through this tough time, and we're also going to talk about steps we're taking to help communities prepare, plan, and recover.
In West Asia, Syria is battling raging wildfires across the countryside, with acres of crop produce having been turned to ash. In Turkey, firefighters are scrambling to control the fires that pose a danger to some of the country's prime tourist destinations. And on the other side of the Bosphorus, European nations are struggling to keep normal activities afloat as the mercury continues to rise. Now, acres of land have been scorched in several regions of Greece. More than 100 homes and businesses have been severely damaged so far, while firefighters have been hard-pressed to work to try and bring the fires under control. But there still remains a risk of fresh wildfires and escalating heat in the country. In Spain's Gran Canaria island, a rapidly spreading wildfire has forced local authorities to evacuate several villages. It's also shut down 3 roads, and the authorities there have deployed multiple helicopters to try and control the blaze. Enough scientists have confirmed that July could in fact be the hottest month on record ever.
If we look at the top 21 hottest days in terms of the global mean temperature, they have all occurred this month. This anomaly is so large with respect to other record-breaking months in our record that we are virtually certain that the month as a whole will become the warmest July on record.
All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what, of course, is happening with the condition of how hot the world is, of course, getting, we're being joined by our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York on this broadcast. Now, Susan, this is an important statement that's been made by Joe Biden, where it, of course, said that it is important that we tackle climate change and it is important that we ensure that people are not badly affected. Give us more in terms of how Joe Biden wants to take this forward.
Yeah, the Biden administration has been on the forefront of trying to tackle climate change. And while measures are being taken here in the United States, and the situation is anything but ideal, notably in the middle of the United States where people are not used to these kind of temperatures, we're talking over 95, 96, 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Even here in New York, we're feeling the same. But a lot of parts of America, as you mentioned, is farmland, so it affects the crop, the water, of course, elderly and children. And this administration has been on the forefront to try to fight it. However, the problem is when Biden administration's climate envoy, John Kerry, goes to the biggest polluter on earth, which is China, to try to balance this out and get China's approval to start emissions, well, they say, you know, with a nod and a wink that we will, but they continue to do what they're doing. So until and unless, I think what people are saying is until and unless there is really a will by the international community, including developing countries, to tackle something like this, no matter how much the United States does or the West does on its part, or other countries try to get on board, then if there isn't a viable alternative and everyone else isn't on board, then unfortunately the situation will stay the way it is. And I think that was something that was concerning the president.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Susan Tehrani, for joining us and getting us all those details from New York. And also on the show, we're being joined by Mr. Sven Teardal, who is a former chairman of the Norwegian Rainforest Foundation, is also the Director Klima and former Assistant Executive Director for the United Nations Environment Programme. He's joining us live in this broadcast. Mr. Teodal, this is an important statement that has also been made by the United Nations Secretary General António Guterres. He said that the time of global warming is over. The era that's now dawned upon us is that of global boiling. Do you agree with this assessment, or is this a bit too alarmist?
Well, there is a need for alarm. And what the Secretary General said today was just to echo what the scientists have said for years and years. So what we see around the world now is not a surprise. It is what is happening when we continue to emit, to burn fossil fuels and warm up the earth. You know, we have now seen a record temperature around the world, and that is followed. There is a close link with forest fire. And what will happen in the future is that this will only get worse. Now we see that the world has warmed up 1.2 degrees, but if we don't do any drastic very fast, we will pass 1.5, 2, and maybe 3, and that is deadly. So alarm is needed.
Absolutely. Now, so this is something that a lot of people have been debating upon, and it's an ongoing debate in terms of how the Earth goes through these cycles of heating up and then going cold. We've seen these ice ages and then Earth warming up again. This time around, the Earth is getting heated because of human-induced factors, simply because of the fact that by burning fossil fuels and by doing some of the things that we do, we've increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere, which is leading to the Earth getting heated up. We're also presumptuous when we say that we're trying to save planet Earth. Well, what we are actually trying to save are the conditions for the existence of humans on planet Earth. Do you think, realistically speaking, now that we have increased the temperature through our actions, we can actually turn the clock back and control the amount of carbon that we are emitting into the atmosphere?
It is possible for human beings to control the warming, but it means that the politicians need to listen to what scientists is saying. What we need to do within 7-8 years is to reduce fossil fuel burning with 50%. And that will not happen because politicians is not strong enough to stop the fossil fuel industry that is very, very, very strong. So it looks now that, and there is a summit coming up in Dubai in December. What is needed at that summit, well, all the countries in the world is there, is to come with an agreement on phasing out fossil fuel, but it will not happen because the lobbyist is so extremely strong. So I'm a little bit pessimistic. We will definitely not stop the warming on 1.5 degree, but even if we see more of what the Secretary General is saying is global boiling, action will be stronger, and then it is possible to turn this around, but the damage, because we don't do it today, will be very, very, very tough. And it will be a very, very difficult earth for our children and grandchildren.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Teodal, for joining us and getting us all those insights here. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.